I have an unbelievable video for you guys today. We had an incredible day spearfishing ukus, onos, moana kalis, veke nonos, yellow spot papillos. The ocean was alive, fish were everywhere, and guys, as usual, I'm gonna break down everything, help you guys become better spearfishermen by showing you guys how we caught these. But first, check out merch. Merch has officially dropped. We are restocked. We have performance tees, we got sweaters, we got women's stuff, we got hats, we have so much stuff. Go over to the website, buy something, support the dream, and we'll see you guys in the water.
So usually when we get out somewhere diving, we'll do some warm-up dives or we'll kind of, ease into it. But as soon as we jumped in the water today, I could see a big old uku just cruising around off the bottom. So I did my breathe up, dove down real fast, got to the bottom, first dive of the day, 95, 100 feet. Got here and started looking around, doing my dusting, doing my grunting, and immediately you can see this guy just cruising right in. And I knew that this was gonna be an unbelievable day. First dive of the day, cruised right in over to me, came right where I wanted, put a shot right through the cheek, and landed the first fish of the day, a beautiful uku, and I know today was gonna be epic.
Stoked, bro.
Yeah, stoked, bro.
That was a cool first dive.
Right in the face, bro.
Never happens.
I was gonna say, I was like, who is this guy?
I told you, bro, I can't miss lately. So I really had a phenomenal week. I was on it with the archery. I had a really great spearfishing trip and I felt like I couldn't miss. And then I got that uku right there in the face. I made a couple tweaks to my gun that was making me really feel a little bit better. And then this happened and I was completely devastated. Right after that uku, we had a couple onos come right up into the flasher, drop my opelu, drop down, and managed to get that little gun out ahead here. And you can see it fall down and just take that shot and just a teeny tiny bit high. And normally that shot might have held, but it was so close to him that I actually strung it with that single wrap. That's how close I was to this ono. And strung right through him, and then that Dyneema just kind of worked its way slowly through him and just tore him right off. I was pretty freaking sad and I didn't know if we were gonna see another one of these things today. So one of the kind of techniques I've developed, or the principles I've kind of come up with over the years, is I tend to make more noise if there's less around. So if I land and there's a couple fish real close to me, I try and be a little bit more subtle because I don't have to call anything in from that far away. But if I land and there's nothing around, I tend to make a lot of noise and be more visual to call things from further. So you can hear those real strong grunts, and immediately out of nowhere with nothing else really around, a big ol' Alua comes cruising right in. Now today wasn't about Aluas, but anytime you see these big apex predators just cruising the reef, it's really special. So I wasn't gonna shoot this one, but I just love seeing these things, and you can kind of see that principle at work here, how there's not a lot of stuff around me, and therefore that grunts was a little bit bigger than maybe I would have done, a little bit louder and a little bit more of them. So you'll be able to kind of see that principle at work right here on this dive, where I get down to the bottom and there is a lot of life around me. There are some target species that are coming right into me, so I don't necessarily need to do much grunting, to do much dusting, to call anything in, because I've a fish are right there. And if I do too much, I risk scaring those fish away that are already kind of there in my face. So I land on the bottom and that big moana kali, I see it, and normally I'll always kind of wait and I'll look around to see if anything else is around before I take the kali, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna stick around. But this was by far the biggest kali I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I kind of remember thinking to myself, I was like, what am I doing? Shoot this giant kali. This is the biggest one you've ever seen. Take this thing home with you. This thing is gonna be unbelievable, Chinese style steamed up later. So you'll see that happen again right here, but kind of the opposite, where I land out here maybe kind of off the spot, a little bit further away than I would have liked, about 100 feet of water, kind of in that sandy, gravelly pit. You can tell there's not like a ton of structure around and there's not a bunch of life. So I make sure to put some of those real big grunts out there to try and attract anything that might be further away to kind of bring it over to me. Those grunts are key for those big trevallies and ukus, and just everything down here just kind of seems to be attracted to it. So one of the fish that I'm gonna shoot right here in this video, we tend to find in that deeper water, in that like 90 to 130 zone, and further off away from the main structure. And this is what we call a veke nono. Now, we fought and battled online, veke nono, veke ulu nono, I've been calling him, but I'm pretty sure this is a veke nono. And when I shot him, he was actually like so lit up a different color that I wasn't sure if I thought he was gonna be one of the orange ones, one of those yellow ones instead. And this is one of those really rare, epic sashimi fish right here. So you guys will see the opposite again in this video, where I get down here to the bottom and there is a lot of life around. So I don't need to do a whole lot. You know, your presence on the bottom sends out these electrical signals. They can see that something is different. They know what's going on. So you don't necessarily need to bring things in from far away if they're already kind of around you. So you'll see I get down there, there's that nice little Moana collie right there. And normally I would have shot this thing right away. I was like, man, that's a nice eating fish right there. There's a bunch of these small size moo around too. But you know, sometimes you've got to let those little ones go and wait and see what kind of comes in. You let the little ones go to get the big ones. And you'll see those head turns back and forth, just kind of looking for those ukus, or I'm looking for anything that's just a little bit better than those 2-pound moose and you know, that 1.5, 2-pound Moana collie. And you'll see it come in here in a second, but out of nowhere, as I'm sitting down there, right there, that big fat Moana collie comes cruising in, and I was like, oh, that's the one. That's the one I want right there. These things are fantastic, one of my favorites to eat, especially at this size. So I kind of pull the gun up and I'm getting ready to take my shot, but I don't want to shoot that boulder in the back, and I wait. And he comes right in, gets too close, comes up to my shaft, but if you don't react, you won't spook him. And you can wait, and I kind of wait till I get that nice stone shot there, and I land another fantastic eating fish. So this dive here, you'll kind of notice a couple things. And one of those first things that kind of happens is I miss the spot. You know, we're out here diving these rocks and I miss it. I land completely in the sand. But instead of aborting my dive, I continue on with it because I know that I'm not that far away from wherever I was gonna be. And one of our #1 target fish out here is the uku. And the uku honestly loves the sand, and it comes up onto the reef just to feed. So I know that even though I'm not exactly where I want it to be, I'm close by. And if I get down there to the bottom and I do a little scratching, I do a little dusting, those fish might come over to me. And that's kind of exactly what happened. You know, I get down there and this guy is kind of like a ghost out there in the silty water, but I managed to do a couple of these nice light little grunts. And I'm sneaky enough to make him inquisitive and come over to me close enough to get another nice little shot there in the face. Now I was feeling really, really good about my shots this day. I had made a couple tweaks to my gun, I was feeling stoked, and I was devastated when this thing fell off. You know, it just kind of flipped off the shaft, and I didn't know what happened. And then like 5 minutes later, right after I got reloaded, I could see him down there dead on the bottom. So I managed to make another 100-foot dive here, get down, and just jam my gun right there into the sand and land this guy, and I was so stoked to not have lost this beautiful fish. So we came up to our next spot, and right out of nowhere, a couple Onos just appeared, and you'll see him coming into my Opelu right there, and I drop down to his level, and he gets so close to me. And you can see how I kind of was patient there, and I took my time. I really didn't want that head-on face shot, and I waited till he showed me that tail, and I managed to get a perfect little shot right between that anal and pec fin in the back third of the body where it's super sinewy, and he could hold on and not lose this fish. I played this guy super, super light, managed to work him up slowly towards me, just a little bit at a time until I could land this thing. You can see that shot there, right there in the tail between those two fins, just holds almost every single time, and I was so pumped to land my first Ono of the day. So right after I landed my Ono, Ben dropped down and landed one of his own, and we were so freaking pumped to have 2 Onos on the boat and just having an unbelievable freaking day.
Like 7 or 8 of them.
I saw you drop. That was pretty sick. And then Euro Pelu, I was following Euro Pelu down, and then like a 20-pound uku came up and smacked it.
So Ben actually threw his bait to that Ono, and then he stuck it and he got out of there chasing it down. And I kind of looked at that bait for a minute, and I watched it kind of fall into the bottom, and then I saw this big stud of an uku come up and smash it. And you'll kind of see it there off to the left side of the screen. And this was one of my big mistakes of the day, and I regret this fish because this was the biggest one we had seen all day long by far. And you can see how I didn't commit to the bottom. That's something that I'm always telling you guys to do. I'm like, go to the bottom and guaranteed that uku would have come right over to me. Instead, I tried to do this mid-water hunt, and I spent too much time waddling around in the middle of the water, and I couldn't get him to come over to me. And this fish got away, and I should have listened to my own advice, gotten a much better breathe up on the surface, gone all the way to the bottom, and I guarantee you that 20-pounder would have been in the boat. Then we had a couple real fish come through, and you can see me throw that Opelu out there and then kind of wait and see what was going on.
That thing was a tank.
I'm not trying to dive down right after these fish. The goal is to really get down to their level and have them attracted in without spooking them away. You know, we're just another predator out there to them. You know, we are down there competing for those same food sources that they are. And that is so key with that mentality versus like you are a predator and they're a prey. You do not want to just charge after them. You want to get down there and kind of be on their same plane and let them come to you. And you can see those couple down there, and then right here off to the corner. I didn't have a great shot yet, but Ben stuck this one and the fight was freaking on another epic Ono. So right after that shot is taken, Ben's job is to chase after that fish as fast as he possibly can. We're both using reel guns out here, plus belt reels, so we don't have an unlimited number of line, kind of like you would if you had a float line. So you've got to maintain as much of that line capacity to yourself as possible, and let that fish take out his big runs, let him wear out, which they all eventually do, and then you can pull him up real nice and slowly, and your buddy can get the second shot.
That's the one. Throw the flasher in. It came right in, huh? You were like, that was the real one.
Yep.
I love this type of diving because 1 minute you're in the blue water bored on your flasher looking for Onos, and then the next second you just dive down to the bottom and see what's around. So I got down here to the bottom and I was gonna, there was definitely some fish around. There's a bunch of school of moo and some smaller stuff. And I throw some grunts out there to kind of see what else will come around, what comes over to me. And guys, the trevallies, the aluas, the omilus, freaking love grunts. You'll see this guy come out of nowhere just trying to eat my face to try and see what I am and what's around. There he is, hauling butt over to me. If you guys are looking for aluas, go out somewhere cool and do a bunch of grunts on the bottom and do that often enough, and I guarantee you something will come out there and charge your face. So I mentioned a couple times this video that I had made a couple tweaks to my gun that I was really, really happy with. And if you guys been following, you know I've been shooting this Pathos Laser 110 carbon roller and a half thing, and I love it, but I've been shooting a little bit low. And one of my concerns was that maybe it was a little bit overpowered with that roller band plus that kicker band. So all I did was I talked to the manufacturer and he was like, yo, that last notch is not made for it to be loaded all the time. You know, that's kind of like if you don't use the kicker band. So I pulled it forward, and you can see there on the gun, it's not loaded all the way. And I was stunned. I mean, it was like every single shot from then on was dead on. The thing is easier to load. I've been freaking pumped. You guys can see it in the proof is in the pudding here. You can see my shots. Every single one, cheek, head, tail, exactly where I want to put it. So, and again, if you guys are looking for any kind of gear for Christmas, check out AmericanDiveCo.com. I got you guys all 10% off, and it's also free shipping anywhere after like 75 or 100 bucks, including to Hawaii. So I'll put that code right there, RMX10. Check that out. Another beautiful cheek meat shot uku.
Somebody learned how to shoot straight, huh? Call me Cheek Meat Ryan from now on. There were like 3 or 4 more down there. This is the big one, but there were a couple more. Paul! Freaking uku!
Oh, yes.
Bro! That is crazy!
Kind of a Hail Mary, but hey.
Bro, you hit it! You landed it! Bro, nobody shoots an uku. Everybody comes out there like, I want to shoot an uku. I'm like, well, you're talking to the wrong guy because I can't help you.
Stoked, bro. Drop down. There was 2. You said there was a bunch.
Yeah!
So I went down and there was 2. He was actually the smaller one.
Heck.
He got closer. And I went deeper. I mean, 76.
76?
Yeah.
That's the deepest you've been in a long time, huh?
Yeah, that's the deepest I've been.
Ever.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I got him.
Heck yeah!
Fuck yeah. Yeah, bro. Stoked.
That's it. Best fish in Hawaii right there.
Thanks, brother.
So we got another epic dive here, and you'll kind of see a lot of those principles that I've been talking about this whole entire video kind of really come together. You can see I land off to the edge of the rock, and that's kind of always what I'm looking for that transition zone where you've got, you know, sand off to my left and then rocky reef up to my right. And right when I land, there is a stud Moana Kali. And again, normally I'd be leaping up and down. I'd be like, this guy's coming home with me right now. But I really want to take my time and look around and see if anything else presents itself. I know know almost 100% that this Moana Kali is not gonna go anywhere. It's gonna stay there the entire time that I'm down there on the bottom. So I know that if I wait, I can look for a big uku, I can look for something else special, and then see what happens. I throw out a couple of those grunts there to see if anything comes in from far away. And then, you know, my dive is getting a little bit longer, and I'm like, okay, probably time to go up, and definitely gonna take this Moana Kali with me. And you'll see how like one last look around, and then I'm gonna spin that gun over to where I think he is. And then of course, he just takes off into the distance. And I'm like, crap. But a couple of those really nice, gentle grunts call him right back over to me, back into that zone where he's like, there's something over there and maybe it's food. And he comes over and I'm able to kind of line him up right here along the edge of the cliff and stone another stud Moana Kali. And again, I cannot miss today, guys, with this gun. So I've said it over and over, and I'll keep saying it, guys. Trevallies love the grunts. And I get down here to the bottom again, and I'll bust out some really nice grunts. And then out of nowhere, of course, the trevallies come in. And it doesn't matter what species they are or where you are in the world, guys, this works. So right here, the trevally of choice, really the one that we're looking for, is that yellow spot papillo. And those things are absolutely fantastic to eat. They make some of the best sashimi in the world. And those couple grunts managed to get them to kind of come over towards me and come within range. You'll see how you just keep calling them in with those grunts. You call him in, and then he comes over and gets within range, take that pathos, line up, and get another shot here on epic sashimi. Unfortunately, this thing wraps me up immediately right into this coral. And, you know, a lot of times that stuff is pretty flimsy, but, you know, out here in Hawaii, that stuff would not break. It would not come apart. This thing was tied to like steel. So I go down here and it's pretty deep. This is 90, 100 feet. And it's really important to kind of have a plan. You know, I know that I'm not going to untangle this. And I know that when I go down there, I don't want to come down again. So I kind of make up my mind before the dive. I'm like, what's important here? The fish and the shaft. So I go down and I kind of cut my shaft out, secure the fish first. Then I go over and I release my line so I can go to the surface, retie, make another shooting line. Now after I was restrung, did another dive here in the same kind of zone, and for whatever reason, it seemed to be like we were in yellow spot papillo paradise. I get down here to the bottom, I set up again on that edge. I'm always looking for those transition zones. Right here, I found a nice little gully right next to the edge where I can be a little bit kind of hidden. I don't have to go necessarily all the way down deep to the sand, and immediately some grunts call in every trevally everywhere around. You can see this massive, beautiful school of omilus, and then there's a couple of those yellow spot papillos kind of cruising with them, and that's what I want. You know, those omilus are absolutely delicious. We eat those all the time, but given me a choice between a yellow spot papillo and an omilu, I'm gonna take that papillo every single time, and we just don't see very many. They're kind of a rare fish for us on the Kona side, so anytime we kind of get over here and we can see a few, we're just lucky and just stoked to be able to take one. You can see these schools of them kind of come cruising right in. They love those grunts, and again with that little pathos, another beautiful, beautiful stone shot. This was one of the best Hawaii spearfishing trips of my entire life, and it was so nice to finally shoot straight and dial that pathos in. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoy our content, support the dream and go check out our latest merch drop over at RyanMyersExpeditions.com.